Hello, everyone. I need you to hear me today because some of you are wondering why success hasn't come yet. And it's not because you're not talented. It's not because you don't have potential. The truth is, you're distracted. Every time you're about to move forward, something pulls your attention away. If you want to win in life, if you want to reach that next level, you got to remove distraction. Focus is your greatest weapon. And I want you to understand that at the deepest level. Because without focus, you can have all the gifts, all the talent, all the opportunities in the world, but you'll never maximize them. Focus is what takes average and makes it great. Focus is what turns ordinary into extraordinary. The reason so many people never get to see their full potential is because they allow distractions to pull them away from their purpose, their goals, and their destiny. When you wake up in the morning, you have energy, you have determination, but as the hours go by, things start pulling at you. The phone rings, the notifications pop up, people start demanding your time, your energy, your attention. And before you know it, the day has ended. And you look back realizing you didn't accomplish half of what you planned. Not because you weren't capable, not because you didn't want to, but because you didn't stay focused. When I say focus is your greatest weapon, I mean it is the thing that cuts through the noise of life. It's the tool that allows you to separate what matters from what doesn't. Think about a magnifying glass. You can hold it in the sun and nothing happens if you're waving it around, but if you keep it still, if you focus the rays of light on one single point, it creates fire. That's exactly how your life works. The reason you're not on fire, the reason you're not burning with passion and results is because your energy is scattered. You're trying to chase 5 different things. You're starting and stopping. You're giving half of yourself here and a quarter of yourself there. You wonder why you're not winning. And the answer is simple. You have no focus. The people who rise to the top in any field, whether it's business, sports, music, or academics, are not always the ones who started out the strongest. They're the ones who learned how to lock in. They learned how to give their full attention, their full energy, and their full commitment to one task until it was done. Kobe Bryant wasn't just talented, he was focused. He locked himself in the gym when others were out partying. Steve Jobs wasn't just intelligent, he was focused. He cut away distractions, narrowed in on simplicity, and created products that changed the world. You might not be an athlete, you might not be a tech genius, but the principle is the same. If you want to get somewhere, you have to lock in and stay locked in. The truth is, distractions aren't just little inconveniences. They are enemies of your destiny. Every time you allow yourself to drift, you give up power. Imagine a ship at sea. If the captain doesn't keep the ship pointed toward the destination, the waves and winds will push it off course. It doesn't matter if the ship is the biggest, fastest, most beautiful vessel on the ocean. Without direction and focus, it will drift endlessly. That's you without focus. You can have potential, you can have ambition, you can even have a plan, but if you don't hold steady and keep your mind locked in, life will carry you wherever it wants. Focus requires discipline, and discipline is not always comfortable. It means saying no to the things that feel good in the moment, but steal from your future. It means choosing long-term gain over short-term pleasure. It means cutting off distractions even when everybody else is indulging in them. It means being willing to be misunderstood because people will think you're too serious, too intense, too locked in. But let me tell you, when you're chasing greatness, you can't afford to play around with your time. Your time is your life. And when you give your time away to distractions, you're literally giving pieces of your life to things that don't matter. You've got to train your mind like an athlete trains their body. Athletes don't just practice skills, they practice focus. They train to shut out the crowd, the noise, the pressure, and stay locked in on the game. You have to do the same in your life. That exam you're studying for, that business you're building, that dream you're chasing, it requires your undivided attention. Not half, not some, not when you feel like it. It requires you to be present and committed every single day. If you keep giving your focus to everything that shouts for your attention, you'll never give enough to the things that whisper your destiny. Focus also requires clarity. You can't focus if you don't know what you're aiming at. Too many people are frustrated because they're trying to be focused, but they don't even know what they're aiming for. You've got to decide. You got to get crystal clear about your goals, your purpose, and your priorities. When you know where you're going, it becomes easier to recognize distractions for what they are. If it doesn't align with your mission, it's not for you. If it doesn't push you toward your vision, it's pulling you away from it. Clarity brings power, and power allows you to focus with intensity. Another thing about focus, it multiplies your effort. A person working distracted for 8 hours will often produce less than a person who was fully focused for 3. Why? Because focus compresses time. When you are locked in, your mind works at a higher level. Your creativity flows. Your energy is sharper. That's why some people seem to accomplish so much more in the same amount of time. It's not magic, it's focus. If you can learn to cut away distractions and truly lock in, you'll accomplish things in months that others can't in years. But focus doesn't just happen. You have to create, you have to build habits and structures that protect it. That means planning your day before the day begins. That means creating boundaries so people know when you're available and when you're not. That means putting the phone down, closing the unnecessary tabs, turning off the noise, and creating space where your mind can do deep work. It means choosing your battles carefully and not wasting energy on things that don't matter. Focus isn't about doing more, it's about doing less, but with greater intensity and excellence. And let me be real with you, focus will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you convenience, and sometimes it will cost you relationships. Not everybody can handle your focus. Some people want you to be distracted because when you're distracted, you're easy to control. When you're focused, you become unstoppable, and that intimidates people. But you can't dim your light just to make others comfortable. You can't lose your focus just to fit in. If you want to stand out, if you want to achieve greatness, if you want to leave a legacy, you have to be willing to pay the price of focus. At the end of the day, the question you need to ask yourself is simple. What do I want most? Do I want the temporary thrill of distraction, or do I want the lasting reward of discipline and focus? Every time you give in distraction, you rob your future self. Every time you stay focused, you invest in your future self. The choice is yours, and the results will reflect it. Focus is your greatest weapon because it gives you control over your life. It allows you to direct your energy, your time, and your action toward what matters most. It allows you to cut through the noise and stay on course no matter how strong the winds of distraction blow. It transforms potential into performance and performance into results. So lock in. Guard your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Your future, your dreams, your success, your legacy, they all depend on your ability to focus. Some of you are carrying weights that you don't even realize are holding you back. You wake up every morning with ambition, you set goals, you dream about success, but no matter how hard you push, it feels like you're dragging a chain behind you. And when you look closely, that chain is not your lack of talent. It's not your lack of resources. It's not even your circumstances. It's the people around you. Toxic relationships are the distractions that most people ignore, but they are the silent killers of dreams. When I say eliminate toxic relationships, I'm not talking about being selfish or heartless. I'm talking about understanding that not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. Some people are seasonal. Some people are only there to drain you, to pull energy from you, to keep you stuck at the same level they're comfortable living in. And if you don't learn how to identify and cut those relationships, you will never reach the destiny that was designed for you. You've got to realize that energy is contagious. Who you surround yourself with will either push you closer to your dreams or pull you away from them. If you spend time with people who gossip, complain, and settle for less, then without realizing it, you begin to absorb that mindset. Their limitations become your limitation. Their excuses become your excuse. Their fears become your fear. But when you get around people who are hungry, who are disciplined, who are striving to be better, suddenly your standards rise. You see what's possible, and you start demanding more of yourself. That's why toxic relationships are so dangerous, because they don't just waste your time, they reprogram your mind. I want you to think about it like this. Imagine trying to run a race with a backpack full of rocks. You can be strong, you can be fast, you can be motivated, but as long as you're carrying that weight, you'll never perform at your best. That's exactly what toxic relationships do. They weigh you down with negativity, with drama, with constant problems that aren't yours to solve. You end up exhausted, drained, and unfocused, not because of your journey, but because of the people you've chosen to carry along the way. And here's the hard truth. You can't save everybody. You can't fix everyone. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let go, because holding on only destroys both of you. Some of you are afraid to eliminate toxic relationships because you've known these people for years. They might be childhood friends. They might be childhood friends. They might even be family. And yeah, it's hard. It hurts. But you've got to ask yourself, do I want to stay loyal to comfort, or do I want to stay loyal to my calling? Because the two don't always align. Loyalty doesn't mean sacrificing your future. Loyalty doesn't mean tolerating disrespect, negativity, or mediocrity. Real loyalty is about truth, growth, and mutual respect. If that relationship doesn't challenge you to be better, it's not loyalty, it's bondage. Let me be clear. Eliminating toxic relationships doesn't always mean cutting someone off completely. Sometimes it means creating distance. Sometimes it means setting boundaries. Sometimes it means changing the level of access they have to your life. You don't owe everyone your time, your energy, or your attention. You owe yourself peace, focus, and growth. You owe yourself the chance to live without constantly being pulled down by someone else's baggage. There are people in your life right now who only call you when they need something. They drain you emotionally, financially, mentally. They never celebrate you, never support you, never encourage you. And yet you keep answering the phone, you keep giving, you keep allowing them to distract you. At some point, you gotta realize that's not love, that's manipulation. I know some of you are scared that if you let these people go, you'll end up alone. But let me tell you something, sometimes solitude is better than bad company. Being alone gives you time to heal, time to grow, time to discover who you really are. Toxic relationships don't just distract you, they damage you. They keep you second-guessing yourself, doubting your worth, questioning your vision, and you can't build greatness on a foundation of insecurity. You got to surround yourself with people who see your value, who speak life into your vision, who push you when you're tired and remind you of who you are when you forget. Think about an eagle. Eagles don't fly and fly. They soar alone or with one other eagle. Chickens gather in groups, but they never leave the ground. Some of you are eagles, but you keep hanging with chicken. You're trying to soar while they're pecking at the dirt. And every time you try to take off, they pull you back down. You can't expect to live an extraordinary life if you keep company with people who are satisfied with ordinary. The higher you go, the fewer people you'll find there. That's the price of greatness. Toxic relationships also rob you of time. Time you can never get back. While you're busy dealing with unnecessary drama, you're losing hours you could be using to build your dream. While you're stuck in arguments and gossip, you're missing opportunities to grow, to learn, to move forward. Every minute spent with someone who doesn't add value to your life is a minute stolen from your future. And the saddest part is, most people don't realize it until it's too late. They wake up years later wondering why they're still stuck in the same place. And the answer is simple. They never had the courage to let go of toxic relationships. Letting go doesn't make you cruel. It makes you wise. It means you finally understand that your destiny is too important to gamble with. You got one life, one shot, one chance to maximize your potential. You don't have the luxury to waste it on people who don't believe in you, who don't respect you, who don't uplift you. And if you're worried about what people will say when you cut ties, let me remind you, the same people criticizing you now are the ones who would have kept you stuck forever. When you start winning, when you start shining, when you start living at your highest level, those same voices will go silent. Oh, but here's the beauty of it. When you eliminate toxic relationships, you make room for the right ones. You open space in your life for mentors, for friends, for partners who truly see you and support you. The universe doesn't like emptiness. When you let go of negativity, positivity finds its way in. When you walk away from people who drain you, you'll be surprised at how quickly people who inspire you show up. But you'll never experience that shift if you keep clinging to what should have been left behind a long time ago. At the end of the day, you've got to decide what matters most: the comfort of toxic relationships or the cost of your calling. You can't have both. Greatness requires sacrifice. It requires courage. It requires the strength to walk away from anything and anyone that doesn't align with your vision. And yes, it will hurt. Yes, it will be lonely at times. But the pain of letting go is nothing compared to the pain of regret. Imagine being at the end of your life and realizing you never reached your full potential, not because you weren't capable, but because you let the wrong people distract you. So ask yourself right now, who in my life is helping me grow and who is holding me back? Who brings peace and who brings chaos? Who pushes me toward my vision and who pulls me away from it? Be honest. Because the moment you start answering those questions truthfully, you'll know exactly who needs to stay and who needs to go. Your future depends on it. Your dreams depend on it. Your peace depends on it. Eliminate toxic relationships, not because you don't care, but because you care too much about your destiny to let anything or anyone get in the way. Social media, notifications, and endless scrolling are some of the biggest distractions of our time. They steal hours from your day, they steal focus from your goals, and worst of all, they steal energy from your future. You wake up in the morning intending to be productive, intending to get work done, intending to chase your dreams, but the moment you grab your phone, you fall into a trap. One notification leads to another. One scroll becomes 10 minutes, becomes an hour, and before you know it, you've lost momentum. What people don't realize is that every time you give into that digital distraction, you're not just wasting time, you're weakening your discipline. And discipline is the foundation of success. The truth is, your devices are designed to own you. Every app, every notification, every alert is engineered to capture your attention and keep it for as long as possible. Companies spend millions studying human psychology, figuring out how to keep you hooked. They know the more time you spend on their platforms, the more money they make. But while they're getting rich, you're getting robbed. You're losing hours you can never get back. You're losing focus that could have been invested in your vision. You're losing the ability to think deeply and work consistently. If you don't take control of your digital space, it will take control of you. Think about how much time you've spent scrolling through feeds that added nothing to your life. Did it move you closer to your goals? Did it teach you something meaningful? Did it push you to become better? Most of the time, the answer is no. It gave you a temporary distraction, quick hit of entertainment, maybe even a false sense of productivity, but at the end of the day, you were left empty. And while you were distracted, opportunities were passing you by. While you were lost in someone else's highlight reel, your own story wasn't being written. While you were watching other people live their dream, you weren't building your own. Some of you say, oh, but I need my phone. I need social media for work. I need to stay connected. Yes, that's true. Technology is a powerful tool, but here's the difference. Tools are supposed to serve you, not enslave you. If you're spending more time consuming than creating, more time watching and working, then the tool has become your master. And as long as you let it control you, you'll never have the freedom to focus on what truly matters. Success doesn't come from scrolling. It comes from building. Success doesn't come from comparing. It comes from creating. Success doesn't come from watching others. It comes from doing the work yourself. You've got to set boundaries with your digital space. That means turning off unnecessary notifications, because every ping is a thief of your focus. That means setting specific times to check your phone instead of being available 24/7. That means uninstalling apps that only waste your time and add no value to your life. It means taking ownership of your attention and protecting it like it's the most valuable resource you have, because it is. Time and focus are the currencies of achievement. And when you let your devices drain them, you're broke before the day even begins. I want you to think about the people you admire, the ones who have achieved greatness. Do you think they spend hours every day scrolling through social media, liking posts and watching endless videos? No. They spent those hours building their craft, learning their field, pushing their limits. They didn't let distractions steal their destiny. And the only difference between them and you is how they manage their focus. They used technology as a tool, not a trap. They didn't allow the digital world to replace the real work that needed to be done. Some of you have dreams of starting a business, writing a book, learning a skill, or getting healthier, but you keep telling yourself you don't have time. The reality is you do have time, but you're wasting it. Every hour you spend on meaningless scrolling is an hour you could have spent investing in your dream. And when you add it up, it's not just hours, it's days, weeks, even years of wasted potential. Imagine what you could achieve if you redirected that energy into something that truly mattered. Imagine the progress you could make if instead of checking your phone first thing in the morning, you spent that hour working on your goals. Imagine how much closer you'd be to your dreams if instead of scrolling before bed, you invested that time into learning, planning, or creating. The biggest tragedy of digital distraction is that it gives you the illusion of being busy without actually being productive. You feel like you're doing something because your brain is stimulated, but in reality, you're standing still. It's like running on a treadmill. You're moving, but you're not going anywhere. True progress requires focus, deep work, and consistent effort. And you can't achieve that if your attention is constantly being hijacked by your phone. You have to ask yourself, what matters more, likes or legacy? Do you want to be known for the number of posts you scroll through or for the impact you've made? Do you want to look back years from now and realize you spent your life staring at a screen? Or do you want to look back and know you built something meaningful, something lasting? Every day you have a choice. Feed your distractions or feed your dreams. And whichever you feed will grow. It's not easy to break free from digital distractions because they're addictive. Your brain releases dopamine every time you see a new notification. Every time you refresh the feed and something new pops up. It feels good, but it's temporary. And like any addiction, the more you feed it, the stronger it becomes. But here's the good news. Just like you can train your body, you can train your mind. You can rewire your habits. You can take back control. It starts with small steps. Put your phone in another room while you work. Set a timer for how long you allow yourself to scroll. Replace scrolling with reading, with journaling, with exercise, with something that builds you instead of draining you. At first, it will be uncomfortable because your brain is used to constant stimulation. But over time, you'll discover a new power, the power of focus. When you finally break free from digital distractions, you'll realize how much mental clarity you've been missing. You'll be able to think deeper, work longer, and create better. You'll start seeing results that you never thought were possible, not because you suddenly became smarter, but because you finally gave yourself the gift of uninterrupted attention. And in a world where everyone else is distracted, focus becomes your competitive advantage. While others are wasting hours on meaningless scrolling, you'll be moving forward. While others are chasing likes, you'll be chasing goals. While others are watching life pass by on a screen, you'll be living it. At the end of the day, the choice is yours. No one is forcing you to scroll. No one is forcing you to answer every notification. No one is forcing you to give your attention away. You have the power to control your digital space. You have the power to decide what gets your focus. You have the power to say no to distractions and yes to your dreams. But you've got to be intentional. You got to be disciplined. You got to care enough about your future to protect your focus today. Your devices can either be the greatest tool for your growth or the greatest trap for your potential. It all depends on how you use them. Don't let technology own you. Don't let notifications dictate your day. Don't let scrolling steal your future. Take control of your digital space, and you'll take control of your destiny. Because the truth is, success doesn't belong to the distracted. Success belongs to the focus. And when you finally silence the noise, when you finally break free from the grip of digital distractions, you'll discover a power inside you that's been there all along. The power to create, to grow, to achieve, and to win. Your environment is either pushing you forward or pulling you back. And most people underestimate just how much their surrounding influence their behavior, their thoughts, and their results. You can have the strongest goals, the biggest dreams, and the best intentions. But if you're living, working, or spending time in an environment filled with clutter, negativity, and distractions, you'll never reach your highest potential. The truth is, your environment shapes your habits, and your habits shape your future. If you want to be productive, focused, and successful, you've got to build an environment that reflects those qualities. An environment of productivity doesn't just happen by accident. It's created intentionally, with discipline and with purpose. Think about it like this. If you plant a seed in the wrong soil, it doesn't matter how much potential that seed won't grow. You can water it. You can give it sunlight, but if the soil is toxic, the seed will never become what it was meant to be. That's exactly how your life works. You are the seed, full of potential, full of possibility. But if you keep planting yourself in environments that drain you, that distract you, that discourage you, you will never blossom into who you're supposed to become. On the other hand, if you put yourself in the right soil, an environment that nurtures growth, that feeds positivity, that removes distraction, you'll start to see transformation. The first part of building an environment of productivity is physical. Look around your space right now. Is it clean, organized, and designed for focus? Or is it cluttered, chaotic, and full of distractions? Your surroundings have a direct effect on your state of mind. A messy desk creates a messy mindset. A noisy room creates a noisy mind. But a clean, ordered space creates clarity and calmness, which are the foundations of productivity. When you sit down to work, your brain should immediately know this is a place for focal grasp, for discipline, for progress. That doesn't happen if you're surrounded by trash, clutter, or constant interruptions. You've got to take responsibility for your environment and set it up in a way that supports your goals instead of sabotaging them. The second part is social. The people you allow into your environment are just as important as the physical space. If your circle is filled with complainers, gossipers, and negative energy, you'll find yourself constantly distracted and drained. But if your environment is filled with people who are driven, supportive, and positive, that energy will push you higher. You can't expect to stay motivated if every conversation around you is full of doubt and excuses. Your environment must be populated with voices that remind you of your potential, not your limitation. Every word you hear, every attitude you absorb becomes part of the mental atmosphere you live in. If you want to soar, you got to surround yourself with people who make flying normal. But environment isn't just physical or social, it's also digital. Every time you open your phone or computer, you step into a digital environment that either supports or sabotages your productivity. If your feeds are full of negativity, comparison, or distractions, then your environment is poisoning you without you even realizing it. But if you intentionally fill your digital space with inspiration, knowledge, and positivity, you can create an environment that fuels you instead of drains you. You control what you allow in your space. You control who you follow, what you read, what you listen to, what you watch. And every choice adds up to shape the atmosphere you live in daily. The truth is, you can't expect to thrive in an environment that's working against you. If you're trying to eat healthy, you don't keep junk food in the house. If you're trying to stay sober, you don't keep alcohol in the fridge. If you're trying to be productive, you don't leave distractions lying around. Too many people set themselves up for failure by creating environments full of temptation. Then they wonder why they can't stay disciplined. Success isn't just about willpower, it's about structure. Willpower is limited, but environment is constant. If you build the right environment, it does half the work for you. You also have to be intentional about the energy of your environment. Energy is invisible, but it's real. Walk into a room after an argument, you can feel the tension in the air. Walk into a room filled with laughter, and you feel lighter instantly. The same is true in your personal spaces. If you fill your environment with negativity, constant complaining, anger, gossip, or stress, that energy sticks. But if you fill your environment with gratitude, positivity, encouragement, and focus, that energy becomes your fuel. That's why it's important to monitor not just what you allow into your space, but also what you're contributing. Are you bringing positivity to your environment, or are you adding to the negativity? Your environment is a mirror of your habits, and your habits are a reflection of your environment. Building an environment of productivity also requires eliminating noise. Not just literal noise, but just literal noise. We live in a world that is constantly shouting for our attention. Ads, notifications, conversation, obligations. If you don't intentionally create space for silence, for focus, for deep thought, you'll always live in distraction. That's why some of the most successful people guard their mornings carefully. They know that the way they start the day sets the tone for everything else. If you begin your day in chaos, you'll carry that chaos with you. But if you begin your day in focus, your environment will support productivity all day long. Some of you are failing not because you're lazy, not because you're unmotivated, but because your environment is sabotaging you. You're trying to focus in the middle of chaos. You're trying to grow in soil that doesn't support growth. You're trying to build your dreams in a space that constantly pulls you away from them. And until you change that, nothing else will change. Motivation is temporary, but environment is permanent. If your environment doesn't change, your results won't either. But here's the good news. You have the power to design your environment. You're not stuck with what you have. You can clean your space. You can set boundaries. You can choose who you spend time with. You can decide what energy you bring. You can shape your digital world. You have more control than you think. You don't need permission to change your environment. You don't need approval. All you need is the decision that your future is worth protecting, and then the discipline to build an environment that reflects it. When you start making these changes, you'll notice something powerful. Productivity becomes natural. Focus becomes easier. Growth becomes automatic. Why? Because you've removed the resistance. You've cleared the clutter, cut the noise, created order, and surrounded yourself with energy that lifts you up. You'll discover that you don't need to push as hard when your environment is pulling you in the right direction. You won't need to fight for focus when your environment supports it. You won't need to constantly motivate yourself when your environment is already feeding your motivation. At the end of the day, your environment is either helping you win or helping you win or helping you lose. It's either making success easier or making it harder. You can't keep blaming yourself for failing when you built an environment that sets you up for failure. And you can't keep waiting for results if you're not willing to change the space you live in every day. If you want a productive life, you need a productive environment. If you want success, you need an environment that reflects success. If you want focus, you need an environment that protects focus. So take a hard look at your surroundings right now. What needs to change? What needs to go? Who needs less access? What clutter needs to be cleared? What habits need to be supported by structure? Don't just think about it, act on it. Start building an environment that pushes you toward your goals instead of pulling you away. Because at the end of the day, your environment is not just where you live, it's what you become. And if you want to become the best version of yourself, you've got to make sure your environment is the best soil for your growth. When you think about removing distractions, one of the most important truths to recognize is that your time is your most valuable asset. Every moment you spend on something unimportant, every hour wasted on meaningless activities is a piece of your life that you will never get back. People often think of money as their greatest resource, but money can be lost and regained. Time, on the other hand, is permanently gone once you let it slip through your fingers. That's why being intentional with your time is essential if you want to accomplish anything meaningful in life. Distractions, whether they come in the form of entertainment, social media, unhealthy relationships, or even your own lack of focus, are thieves. They don't just steal your attention in the moment. They rob you of your future, your growth, and your potential. If you allow them to, they will consume the minutes, hours, and days that you could have invested into building your dreams and becoming the person you were meant to be. Think about how many times you said to yourself, I'll do it later, or I'll get to it tomorrow. Then suddenly you look back and realize that weeks, months, or even years have passed, and you are still in the same position. That's what distractions do. They disguise themselves as harmless breaks, but in reality, they are traps that keep you from moving forward. When you scroll endlessly through social media, when you watch episode after episode of a show without any purpose, when you get caught up in gossip or meaningless arguments, you are spending the one resource that can never be refilled, your time. And the truth is, the world doesn't stop moving while you're distracted. Opportunities are still passing by. Other people are still working, and your dreams are still waiting on you. Every distraction is a delay, and every delay pushes your goals further away. Being intentional with your time means you have to decide ahead of time what matters most to you. You can't just wake up every day and let life happen to you. You have to take control of your hours and choose where your focus goes. That means setting priorities. Well, ask yourself, what are the 3 most important things I need to do to get closer to my goals? Once you have those, commit to them. Don't let anything pull you off course until those tasks are done. If you leave your day open for distractions, they will find their way in. But when you plan your time with purpose, you create a shield that helps you resist the urge to give in to every temptation for instant gratification. Another part of being intentional with your time is learning how to say no. Many people struggle with this because they don't want to disappoint others or they want to feel included in everything. But saying yes to everything is the fastest way to spread yourself too thin and accomplish nothing meaningful. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're actually saying no to something that could have changed your life. It's not about being rude or shutting people out. It's about recognizing that your time is limited and you can't afford to waste it. If you want to remove distractions, you have to protect your time with the same seriousness that you would protect your most valuable possession. Let's look at the difference between someone who manages their time intentionally and someone who doesn't. Imagine two people with the same goal. Let's say they both want to start a successful business. The first person decides to dedicate 2 hours every day to learning, planning, and taking action on their business idea. They may have distractions too, but they discipline themselves to put their phone down, turn off the TV, and focus during those 2 hours. The second person, however, allows distractions to creep in. They tell themselves they'll start tomorrow, then spend hours scrolling online, watching videos, or hanging out aimlessly with friends. Fast forward 6 months. The first person has a solid business plan, maybe even launched their first product, while the second person hasn't moved an inch closer to their dream. Both had the same 24 hours in a day, but one chose to be intentional and the other allowed distractions to win. Allowed distractions to win. What makes time management even more critical is that you never know how much time you really have. None of us are promised tomorrow. That's why it's dangerous to keep postponing your goals, thinking you always have more chances. If you knew your time was limited, if you knew you only had a certain number of days left, how would you spend them? Would you waste them scrolling through meaningless content, or would you pour every ounce of energy into what truly matters to you? The truth is, your time is already limited, even if you don't know the exact number of days. And when you realize that, distractions lose their power. Suddenly, the things that used to consume your attention don't seem as important compared to building the life you want. Another way to stay intentional with your time is to create an environment that supports your focus. You can't always rely on willpower alone to fight off distractions. Sometimes you have to remove the temptations before they even have a chance to grab your attention. That might mean turning off notifications on your phone, setting limits on certain apps, or creating a workspace that is free from clutter. When your environment is set up to help you, it becomes easier to stick to your commitments. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with distractions, it's almost impossible to stay consistent. Think of your time as a precious container. Whatever you pour into it determines what you will get out of life. If you fill it with distractions, you'll have nothing to show for it. But if you fill it with focus, effort, and discipline, you'll reap the rewards of growth and achievement. It's also important to understand that being intentional with your time doesn't mean you never rest or enjoy yourself. Rest is necessary for productivity, and breaks are healthy. The difference is whether you control your rest or whether your rest controls you. Taking a planned break to recharge is different from wasting hours in distraction without realizing it. The first strengthens you, the second weakens you. Intentional time management is about balance. It's about making sure that the majority of your time is invested in activities that align with your values and goals, while still leaving space for recovery so you can keep going long term. Finally, one of the most powerful ways to take control of your time is to remind yourself of your own why. When you know exactly why you're doing something, distractions lose their grip. If you're working to create a better future for your family, if you're fighting to achieve a dream you've carried for years, if you're determined to break free from limitations and live at your highest potential, then you won't want to waste your time. Every minute will feel like an opportunity to get closer to that vision. And when you catch yourself slipping into distractions, your why will pull you back into focus. At the end of the day, removing distractions is really about respecting your own time. It's about recognizing that your hours are not unlimited. And if you don't guard them, no one else will. Be intentional with your time. Plan it, protect it, invest it wisely. Because once it's gone forever. And if you can learn to treat your time as the precious resource it is, you'll find that your productivity increases, your focus sharpens, and your goals begin to materialize. The people who succeed in life aren't the ones who have the most talent or the most resources. They're the ones who learn how to use their time without letting distractions steal it away. Discipline is not about doing what you want when you feel like it. It's about doing what is necessary even when you don't feel like it. In a world filled with constant temptations, distractions, and shortcuts, discipline acts as the anchor that keeps you grounded. Think about the moments when you set a goal for yourself but fell short, not because you weren't capable, but because you didn't stay disciplined enough to follow through. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and accomplishments. It's the ability to tell yourself a no when everything around you screams yes. It's the ability to stay committed when the excitement fades and when the work becomes repetitive, boring, or difficult. Without discipline, potential goes unrealized. Talent gets wasted and vision remains a dream. Discipline is the fuel that takes you from inspiration to execution, from intention to achievement. When you practice discipline, you essentially declare to yourself and to the world that you are in control of your life. Most people operate on impulses, scrolling when they should be studying, eating when they're not hungry, quitting when it gets tough. But those who succeed in any area, business, sports, academics, relationships, understand that discipline is the dividing line between average and extraordinary. Look at any champion, and you'll see someone who trained even when they didn't feel like it, who sacrificed short-term pleasures for long-term greatness. It's not luck, and it's not always raw talent. It's disciplined action, repeated day in and day out, that creates results. Discipline is also about building habits that align with your vision. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Waking up early, saying no to late nights, studying when your friends are partying, eating clean instead of junk. It feels like a burden. But over time, these disciplined actions transform into habits, and habits shape your identity. Once you train yourself to be disciplined, you begin to move on autopilot in the direction of your goals. You don't debate with yourself every morning whether to get up or hit snooze, whether to work out or skip, whether to grind or slack off. You just do it because discipline has become a part of who you are. But discipline doesn't come naturally. It must be built, trained, and strengthened like a muscle. And just like muscles, if you don't exercise it, it weakens. You can't expect to build discipline overnight. It comes from consistent choices. Start with small commitment. It's like setting a bedtime and sticking to it, or limiting your screen time during work hours. Each time you follow through on a small commitment, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. And that trust builds confidence. And that confidence fuels even greater discipline. Eventually, you'll realize that self-discipline is actually a form of self-respect. It's saying, I value my time, my goals, and my future enough to stay consistent no matter how I feel. One of the reasons people fail at discipline is because they wait for motivation. They wait until they feel ready, excited, or inspired to act. But the truth is, discipline kicks in precisely when motivation is gone. Anyone can work hard when they're motivated, when things are new and exciting. But discipline is what keeps you moving when the novelty wears off, when you're tired, when you're discouraged, and when the results are not immediate. Discipline is about consistency, not feelings. It's about showing up no matter what. If you only move when you feel like it, you'll never finish what you start. Another powerful aspect of discipline is delayed gratification. Most distractions exist because they offer you something now: quick entertainment, quick pleasure, quick escape. Discipline says, I don't need it now because I'm building something greater for later. It's about choosing growth over comfort, choosing sacrifice over ease, choosing progress over ease, choosing progress over instant reward. It might mean saying no to spending money now so you can invest for the future, saying no to comfort food now so you can be healthy later, saying no to entertainment now so you can master your craft. Every time you choose to delay gratification, you strengthen your discipline and invest in your future. Discipline also demands accountability. You can't always trust your feelings to guide you, but if you set systems in place, like a strict schedule, a mentor or a partner who checks on your progress, you create an environment where discipline thrives. When you're accountable to someone or something bigger than yourself, you're less likely to slack off. Champions don't train alone. They have coaches, teammates, and trainers who hold them to the highest standard. You need to create those systems in your life too, because discipline is stronger when it's supported by structure. One of the most overlooked benefits of discipline is the freedom it brings. At first glance, discipline feels restrictive. It feels like you're denying yourself fun, comfort, and spontaneity. But in reality, discipline creates freedom. When you discipline your finances, you gain financial freedom. When you discipline your time, you gain freedom to spend it how you want later. When you discipline your body, you gain freedom in your health and energy. Lack of discipline might feel good in the moment, but it always traps you in regret, wasted potential, and missed opportunities. Discipline, on the other hand, feels hard in the moment, but pays you back with freedom, confidence, and fulfillment. Understand this. Discipline is not punishment. It is preparation. It is equipping you with the habits, focus, and resilience needed to handle success. Without discipline, success will crush you because you won't have the consistency to maintain it. With discipline, however, you not only achieve success, you sustain it, multiply it, and inspire others with it. Discipline is what allows your talent to flourish, your vision to become real, and your legacy to be built. So, if you want to remove distractions and move towards greatness, you must embrace discipline as your best friend. Every time you feel tempted to give in, remind yourself of your why. Ask yourself, will this choice bring me closer to my goals or further away? Will this action serve the person I want to become? Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about getting back on track even when you slip. It's about never letting temporary feelings dictate permanent outcomes. If you can master discipline, you can master anything in life because discipline is the foundation of all success. Life has a way of testing your focus through constant noise. Distractions will always surround you, but one of the most powerful tools you can develop is the ability to create boundaries that protect your energy, your time, and your goals. A boundary is not a wall that shuts the world out. It is a filter that allows you to decide what deserves your attention and what doesn't. The truth is, if you don't establish boundaries, other people, unnecessary obligations, and meaningless activities will consume your life. And before you realize it, the time you needed to build your dreams will be gone. Boundaries are not about being selfish. They are about preserving the mental, physical, and emotional space necessary to grow into the person you're supposed to be. Without boundaries, distractions run wild, and your purpose gets buried under chaos. Imagine your life as a garden. If you let anyone walk through it, stomp on the flowers, or throw weeds into it, eventually, the beauty and the potential of that garden will disappear. Boundaries are the fence around that garden, not to keep people away completely, but to ensure only the right things enter. In the same way, you must guard your focus, your dreams, and your energy. Too many people let toxic relationships, endless scrolling on their phones, and unimportant obligations drain them. Then they wonder why they're too tired or too unmotivated to pursue their goals. The problem isn't their capability. It's that they never set boundaries to protect what truly matters. Setting boundaries means learning how to say no without guilt. It means realizing that every time you say yes to something meaningless, you're actually saying no to your dreams. Think about how much time people lose because they feel obligated to answer every phone call, attend every event, or respond to every notification. These little interruptions may feel harmless, but they add up. Hours are lost daily, weeks slip away, and years pass without progress. Boundaries are the shield that stop these distractions from stealing your future. When you say no to things that don't serve you, you're actually saying yes to the life you want. But let's be real. It's not easy. People won't always like your boundaries. They'll call you distant, arrogant, or selfish. They'll get upset because your new focus means they don't have the same level of access to you anymore, and that's okay. Growth requires discomfort, and sometimes the discomfort isn't even yours. It's theirs. You have to be willing to risk people's temporary disappointment to secure your long-term destiny. Every person who has achieved something great learned how to filter out distractions by setting clear boundaries. They weren't available to every party, every conversation, or every trivial request. They knew their mission required sacrifices, and boundaries were the tool that helped them protect that mission. Boundaries also aren't just about other people, they're about yourself. You must set boundaries with your own habits. If you know scrolling on social media steals hours of your time, set a boundary with yourself and limit it. If you know late nights drain your energy for the morning, draw a line and respect it. Discipline is a boundary you place on yourself, and it becomes a weapon against distraction. Some of the biggest enemies of your focus aren't external, they're internal. Laziness, procrastination, and excuses are distractions you have to confront with self-imposed limits. A boundary might mean scheduling your day in detail, setting timers, or removing apps that drain you. It's about taking control of your environment so your environment doesn't control you. Boundaries also strengthen your identity. When you set a boundary, you are declaring to yourself and others what you value. If you protect your study time, you're saying education matters to you. If you guard your gym hours, you're saying your health matters to you. If you cut off toxic relationships, you're saying your peace matters to you. Boundaries aren't just fences, they are statements of self-worth. They communicate to the world that you respect yourself too much to let distractions rob you of what you deserve. The stronger your boundaries, the clearer your identity becomes, and the easier it is to align with your goals. One of the most practical ways to set boundaries is by being intentional with your time. Treat your time like money. Don't just spend it carelessly. Every hour should be invested in something meaningful. If a request or opportunity doesn't align with your goals, it's a distraction disguised as productivity. Learn how to evaluate where your time goes and cut out the waste. Protect your mornings, protect your evenings, and create spaces in your day where no distractions are allowed. You don't need to be available 24/7. You need to be available to your purpose. When you manage your time with strong boundaries, you'll notice how much more energy and clarity you have. Another important aspect of boundaries is environment. Sometimes the most distracting forces come from where you spend your time. If your environment is noisy, chaotic, or filled with temptation, it will be almost impossible to stay focused. Setting boundaries might mean creating a clean, quiet workspace or choosing to spend less time in environments that drain your focus. It might mean surrounding yourself with people who respect your boundaries and support your mission. The wrong environment will constantly pull you into distractions, but the right one will protect your focus and help you grow. At the end of the day, boundaries are about taking ownership of your life. Nobody else is responsible for protecting your time, your energy, or your focus. That responsibility falls on you. You cannot expect to reach your highest potential if you're constantly accessible to every distraction. You have to create a system where your goals are protected, your energy is preserved, and your mind is free to focus. Distractions will never disappear completely, but with boundaries, they lose their power. So ask yourself, what distractions are stealing your focus right now? Who or what do you need to set boundaries with? Is it your phone, certain people, your own habits? Be honest with yourself, because the truth is your dream depends on your ability to guard it. If you don't protect it, nobody else will. Boundaries are the difference between a life of constant distraction and a life of intentional progress. They are the secret weapon that turns scattered energy into focused power. And once you master them, distractions won't control you, you'll control them. When you make the conscious choice to remove distractions, what you are really doing is making a declaration about what matters most in your life. Too often people say they want to achieve something, whether it is success in business, excellence in school, becoming healthier, or building stronger relationships, but their actions betray them. They spend endless hours scrolling their phones, binge watching television shows, engaging in pointless debates online, or surrounding themselves with people who add no value to their journey. Every one of those choices is a seed planted, and eventually those seeds grow into weeds that choke out the possibility of a fruitful harvest. Removing distractions is not only about clearing space, it is about ensuring that the soil of your life is ready to produce greatness. If your environment is full of noise, then your vision will always be blurry. That is why the discipline of cutting off distractions is not a small matter. It is the very foundation of sustained success. When you eliminate distractions, you create clarity. Think about it. The human mind is powerful, but it cannot give its best when it is fragmented. If you have 10 different notifications pulling you in 10 different directions, you will never give your full strength to the task that truly matters. It's like trying to run a race with weights tied around your ankles. Yes, you may still be moving, but you will never reach the finish line with the speed and precision that you are capable of. By removing distractions, you untie those weights. You allow yourself to move unhindered, fully focused, in alignment with your purpose. Clarity is not something that falls out of the sky. It is something you fight for. And that fight often looks like saying no to social media during work hours, to gossip that drains your energy, to people who want your time but not your growth. Saying no is not selfish. It is survival. Another powerful truth is that distractions are often disguised as opportunities. Sometimes people and situations show up in your life, offering excitement, quick rewards, or temporary fun, but underneath, they pull you further away from the long-term vision you had. For example, a student may have the choice to study for an important exam or to go out with friends who promise just a couple of hours of fun. That couple of hours easily turns into a full night, leaving the student unprepared the next day. A business owner may be tempted by a trendy side hustle that looks profitable, but takes time and focus away from the core business that actually pays the bills. These are traps. Learning to see through the disguise of distractions is what separates the average from the extraordinary stuff. It requires discernment, and discernment only comes when you have already decided what your priorities are. Removing distractions also means designing your environment to serve your goals. It's not enough to rely on sheer willpower, because willpower alone is fragile. If you want to focus on reading, put your phone in another room. If you want to exercise, lay out your workout clothes the night before. If you want to build a business, dedicate a quiet workspace and remove anything in that space that tempts you away from your task. These might seem like small steps, but the small things compound. Imagine how much progress you could make in 6 months if you simply eliminated one major distraction a day. Every single day, you would reclaim hours of your life, hours that you could reinvest into your dream. Over time, that investment grows into expertise, mastery, and success. It is also important to recognize that not all distractions come from the outside. Some of the biggest distractions come from within, our own thoughts, fears, and insecurities. Many people are distracted by the constant comparison game. They cannot focus on their own lane because they are too busy looking at what someone else is doing. Others are distracted by the fear of failure, playing every negative scenario in their mind until they are paralyzed. To remove distractions is to discipline your inner world as much as your outer world. It means learning to control your thoughts, refusing to dwell on negativity, and training your mind to stay fixed on your vision. Meditation, prayer, journaling, and affirmations are tools that can help quiet the inner noise so that you can hear your own purpose more clearly. The beauty of eliminating distractions is that it gives you back ownership of your time. Think about how many hours people waste on activities that add no value. Endless scrolling, binge watching, aimless conversation. If you add up all that wasted time over a week, a month, or a year, the total is staggering. Time is the most valuable currency you have, and once it is spent, you cannot get it back. When you cut out distraction, you are essentially depositing that time into the bank of your destiny. You are giving yourself the greatest gift, the chance to fully pursue what you were put on this earth to do. Another truth is that distractions often test how badly you want something. If you say you want to be successful, life will always test you by placing distractions in your path. Those who are casual about their goals will fall for every trap. But those who are truly committed will use discipline to stay the course. This is why so many people start but never finish. They underestimate the seductive power of distraction. But if you can train yourself to endure that temptation and remain locked in, you will rise above the masses. Greatness is never given. It is earned in the moments when you choose focus over fun, vision over convenience, discipline over impulse. There is also freedom in living without distractions. At first, it may feel like you are giving up something valuable. Less social media, fewer hangouts, less entertainment. But what you gain in return is far more powerful. You gain peace of mind, the satisfaction of progress, and the fulfillment of knowing that you are living aligned with your values. You gain result, and results are the true fuel that keeps motivation alive. Nothing compares to the joy of looking back and realizing that because you remove distractions, you actually accomplished what you set out to do. That sense of accomplishment will always outweigh the temporary pleasure of distraction. Finally, understand this. Removing distractions is not a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. Just as weeds constantly grow in a garden, distractions will always try to creep back into your life. You must remain vigilant. Every morning when you wake up, you need to recommit to your focus. You must ask yourself, what matters today? What will I say no to so I can say yes to my dream? This is how you build momentum, and momentum is unstoppable. Once you establish a rhythm of focus, there's nothing that can stand in your way. The world will still be noisy, but you will have trained your mind and your environment to stay locked in on what truly matters. That is the power of removing distractions. Transforms not just what you do, but who you become. As we bring this message to a close, I want you to think deeply about where you are right now in your life and where you desire to be. Every single day, the battle for your attention is constant, relentless, and often invisible. Distractions don't always show up wearing a warning label. They sneak in quietly. They disguise themselves as opportunities, as entertainment, as harmless habits, as friends who mean well. But slowly they steal your time, your focus, and your destiny. This entire message has been about one thing, helping you see that you cannot live your purpose and achieve your potential if you remain entangled in distraction. You have to take control. You have to protect your focus. And you have to guard your future like it's the most valuable treasure in the world, because it is. Look back on your life for a moment. How many times have you been close to a breakthrough, close to finishing something meaningful, close to reaching a milestone, and you allowed a distraction to pull you away? Maybe it was a call, a notification, a night out you didn't need to take, or a few hours of scrolling that turned into a wasted day. In the moment, it may have seemed small, insignificant, something you could recover from later. But over time, those small distractions add up. They pile on top of each other until you look back and realize you've lost weeks, months, or even years that you can never get back. That's the cost of distractions. They rob you quietly, and by the time you realize it, they've already taken too much. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay stuck in that cycle. The power to remove distractions and redirect your focus is in your hands right now. You don't need permission from anyone. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't even need to have it all figured out. All you need is the courage to make a decision. From this day forward, I will no longer allow anything or anyone to rob me of my focus, my energy, or my purpose. That's the commitment you have to make to yourself if you want to experience the life you were created for. Think about this. Every legend you've ever admired, every leader you've ever respected, every innovator who changed the world. Do you think they accomplished their dreams by entertaining distractions? Absolutely not. They understood that success demands sacrifice. It demands focus. It demands a relentless pursuit of excellence. They said a no to things most people say yes or to. They cut off noise. They separated from environments that didn't serve their growth. And they committed their attention to what mattered most. That's why their names are remembered while others fade into the background. And the same principle applies to you. Now, I want you to understand this is not about perfection. Removing distractions doesn't mean you'll never get tempted, never get sidetracked, never lose a day. It means you develop the discipline to recognize when you're being pulled away, and you have the strength to course correct quickly. It's about building systems, habits, and boundaries that protect your focus. It's about being intentional with your time, because if you don't tell your time where to go, distractions will steal it. This is about ownership. Too many people blame distractions on everything outside of them. They say, my environment is too noisy, my friends are pulling me away. My phone won't stop buzzing. But the truth is, you have control over more than you think. You can change your environment. You can silence your phone. You can choose who you spend time with. You can decide to wake up earlier, to carve out quiet space, to prioritize your goals. The moment you take ownership, the moment you stop pointing outward and start looking inward, that's the moment you take your power back. I want to challenge you right now to identify the distractions in your life that are costing you the most. It might be your phone. It might be social media. It might be relationships that no longer serve your purpose. It might be fear disguised as procrastination. It might be overthinking. Whatever it is, I want you to face it honestly. Write it down, acknowledge it, and then make a decision to eliminate it. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because every day you delay is another day wasted. This is not just about reaching goals. It's about living fully. When you remove distractions, you gain clarity. You gain energy. You gain the ability to be present in your work, in your relationships, and your purpose. You start to experience momentum, and momentum is powerful. When you build momentum, small actions turn into big results. Progress becomes addictive. Success becomes a lifestyle. But it all begins with eliminating the noise that's been holding you back. Understand this. The world will always try to distract you. That will never change. What must change is how you respond. You have to be intentional about your focus. You have to protect it. Like your life depends on these ways, it does. Your dreams depend on it. Your future depends on it. Your family depends on it. Your family depends on it. The impact you are supposed to make in this world depends on it. Don't let temporary distractions cost you eternal rewards. Don't let the noise of the world silence the voice of your purpose. I know it's not easy. Distractions are comfortable. They're easy to say yes to. They provide instant gratification, but they also leave you empty. They keep you stagnant. They leave you frustrated, knowing deep down you're capable more, but never stepping into it. The harder choice is to say a no to distractions, to discipline yourself, to walk away from things that are fun in the moment, but destructive in the long run. But that harder choice is the choice that leads to freedom, fulfillment, and success. You have to ask yourself, what do I want more? Do I want the comfort of distractions, or do I want the reward of discipline? Do I want the temporary pleasure of wasted time, or do I want the lasting satisfaction of reaching my full potential? Do I want to live the same year over and over again, or do I want to step into a life of growth, achievement, and impact? The choice is yours, but your choice will define your future. So, as we conclude this journey, I want you to make a declaration. Say it with your whole heart. I will remove distractions from my life. I will guard my focus. I will pursue my purpose with everything I have. Make that declaration and live it out every single day. When the temptation to get distracted comes, remind yourself of your vision. When the noise of the world gets loud, silence it and return to your mission. When people try to pull you away, stand firm and remember why you started. This is your life. You only get one shot at it. Don't waste it on distractions. Don't settle for average. Don't let comfort steal your calling. Be relentless. Be focused. Be disciplined. And when you look back years from now, you'll thank yourself for the sacrifices you made, for the distractions you removed, for the focus you protected. Because that focus will be the reason you accomplished what others only dreamed of. So, take this moment seriously. Reflect, decide, commit, and then execute. The world doesn't need another distracted dreamer. The world needs a focused doer. Be that person. Remove distractions, step into your purpose, and live the life you were destined to live. Your future is waiting for you. The only question left is, will you focus long enough to claim it?